Hi, in this video I'd like to make a comprehensive review on the Pigma Sakura Micron Fineliners, the fineliner set with the longest possible name ever. Are they worth struggling with such a long name? We're gonna find out in this episode. We're gonna start with a slow unboxing and just inspecting how does the box look like. My particular set I purchased includes 005, 01, 02, 03, 05, 08 and the brush tip. I could have gone for the 8 fineliner set, but unfortunately they consist only of the 003 extra that I could make a use of and some extra everyday use fineliner. And I think that without a reasonable doubt I can make a statement that on this channel we're not going to take a look at something that's for everyday use. We want something professional. So why didn't I get the set with the 003? Because I've already got one, and not even a one, I've got a couple of them because I'm using them the most. And if you plan on sketching architecture, these are going to be of the most use. They are amazing for sketching and I love to use them on a daily basis when I'm sketching architecture or doing some blueprints or when I design things. They're just like a great pencil replacement. So what's inside of the box? They open quite nicely. I like the see-through cover. It makes it look really professional. Seems like the box is not going to tear, so you can just use it afterwards if you don't have any place to store them. Professional. I thought I'm going to make it look really professional, but unfortunately I did not. So what's important to notice in here that it's slightly counterintuitive, because I believed like 20 years ago when I was buying the first set of the Micron Pigma Sakura Fineliners that 005 is nothing but 0.05 millimeter, but we can see that as well as the 003 that is not listed in here. 003 stands for 0.50 millimeters, 005 is 0.2 millimeters, 01 is 0.25 millimeters, 02 is 0.3 millimeters, and so on. In this review I'd like to compare the line thickness of each nib doing the slow and fast lines. I would like to test the crosshatch at the different angles, and I'm going to sketch a bonus drawing for you in the end of this video. For this review I've got two papers that I'm going to be testing them on. On the left side I've got a regular paper that you use on a daily basis for your printer. It's of a 90 grams per square meter grammage. And on the right side I've got a Canson paper and it's of a 190 grams a square meter grammage. They both have kind of the same texture. They're really soft and do not have any texture to them, so the nibs of our fineliners will not wear down quickly, and we're going to get hopefully a really good results in terms of the soft and nice lines. And I hope the ink is not going to be bleeding through the paper as advertised. So let's start with the thinnest one, the 003, my favorite one, which I use on a daily basis. And I will start making the lines on the left side and on the right side. Let's start with the cheap paper that you use for your printer. It was a fairly fast line and then slow, because I noticed that once you make a slow line with them, at least with 003, the line tends to be slightly thicker . Because there's more time for the ink to flow. So that's 003. Now we go ahead with the 005. That's the fast line. There's the slow line. You can clearly see that the slow one is way thicker than the fast one, which is really noticeable when you're doing a crosshatch. Then we go with the 01. So the fast 01 looks absolutely the same to slow 005, in my opinion. And slow 01 is way thicker than the fast 01, so it's really important to notice. Let's now go for 02. I think we already knew that fast 02 following this pattern is going to be the same to slow 01, and it's almost the same. It's slightly thinner to my eye. There we go with a slow 02. It's slightly thicker than fast 02. Are we going to go ahead and do this fast 03? There we go. It's of the same thickness to the slow 02. And the slow 03 is of course thicker than the fast 03. Now the 05. Each time I'm pressing the nib with the same pressure, so to make sure the results I'm getting are the same and consistent. And that was the slow 05, and it's absolutely correct for the pattern that we've kind of started to see at the very beginning. The slow 05 is way thicker than the fast 05, and all of the lines increase in the thickness. Now it's time for the 08, the fast line first. And as I can see on this cheat paper, it's bleeding to the left, and I got a kind of like weird sound when I was drawing with it. It felt really bad. I felt like there's something textured on the nib, like the nib itself was textured, and it's giving some there's some friction, unnecessary friction between the nib and the paper. Maybe that was just the first line, but I'm not sure. And here's the brush. I did not use the brush yet, so that's going to be my first time. I'm really excited. Let's see. So let's say I'm not going to do the fast and slow lines with it. I'm just going to try to do, the first line is going to be only with a tip of a brush, and the second one is going to be using this brush on a slight angle. Nice, I can just see that you can make a lot of things with this brush. You can decide on the line thickness on the go, and I really like it. It's really solid. I love it. This brush tip is amazing. I'm definitely going to be using it in my future videos, as I just liked it in this video so much. So let's go ahead and replicate these results on a way better paper, which is meant for sketching. That was the fast 003. That was the slow 003. That was the fast 005. That was the slow 005. That was the fast 01. That's the slow 01. This is the fast 02. That was the slow 002. At the same time, it's really worth mentioning that this is one of the favorite exercises of mine for the straight lines. And this is 03. And going slow. So what I'm doing right now, I'm just pulling the whole arm, and not from my elbow, but I'm just pulling it with my entire body. That's the 05 now. The fast line and the slow line. 08. Let's see if we've got that weird feeling. It got slightly better. I think it's just because of this better paper. It's not making this crackling sound and not bleeding to the sides anymore. It feels really good. I like it. And the brush. First of all, you're going to start with the thin line, which is going to be kind of the same to 08, and then with a thicker line. So as you can see, we've got a pattern that comes from the thinnest to the thickest lines. So you have to keep this in mind. that in order to achieve a thinner line, you gotta be way faster, because when you're gonna sketch slower, you're gonna get way thicker line than expected. Now we're gonna go ahead and try to test some crosshatch, shall we? So let's do the crosshatch test. As previously, I've got a cheaper paper on the left side and the more expensive professional paper on the right side, and we're gonna test all of the thicknesses doing the crosshatch on the left and on the right. Let's see how it goes. Let's quickly divide our paper into sections. So let's start with 003 crosshatch test on a cheap paper. I'm going to try to do 3 types of crosshatching. And I can straight away feel that on this cheap paper there's a lot of friction between the fine liner and the surface. Meanwhile, on this more expensive paper, it glides really well. It's a really good experience on the right side. And you feel like you're not destroying the nib of your fine liner. Now let's go ahead and do 005. 005 feels a little bit better on a cheaper paper. But I still feel like I'm destroying it slightly, so it's going to wear down way quicker, I would say. But on this more expensive paper, it's way better, as expected. And it seems like the lines are slightly more consistent. The thickness is as expected. They do not bleed to the sides. And they do not smudge. 01. 01 seems to be doing a bit better on a cheap paper. This thickness does not scratch the paper so much. But on this Canson paper it's way better. You can just effortlessly slide on a paper. Now we're going to do 02. 02 seems to be doing just okay on that cheap paper. Let's see how about rough crosshatch. It's okay, it's kind of okay. I don't feel any excessive friction. It's quite comparable to what I feel on the right side. I'd say it's really similar. We're going to try the 03. It's doing really okay on a cheap paper. It doesn't feel like I'm damaging anything. It doesn't feel like I'm scratching the paper. It's a really similar feeling between these two papers. Now 05. As well as the previous ones, on the cheap paper there isn't so much of a difference. It just feels okay. I do not see any bleeding to the sides, any smudges. They're just as thick as expected. Maybe on the right hand side it feels a bit better, like for slightly better glide. I think we may gonna expect from these thicker fine liners that they're gonna do slightly better on a more expensive paper as well. But let's see with a 08, that's the final one. It doesn't feel any bad so far. I tried to push it to the limit, but it's okay. I think what we had before doing the straight lines was just a matter of it being used for the first time. And that's why it was crackling slightly. And unfortunately, unluckily, that was just on a cheap paper side. But I can say that this type of a crosshatch, it's doing slightly better on this more expensive paper. And now maybe as a bonus, I'm just gonna go ahead and try to kinda not crosshatch, but make some lines with it. Really light pressure, really soft. And as expected on the right side, on a Canson paper, it's way better. Oh yes, there's a difference, there's a huge difference. You can just feel it, like you can control the line thickness. Nothing nothing unexpected is happening. You get the results you aim for. Alright, so that was the test of the crosshatch on the different papers. That's the cheap one. That's the more expensive one that I'm using for my daily drawing for all of the artworks you can see on my channel. And finally, I would like to show you some drawings that I made with these Fineliners, using them for details in particular. So stay with me to the end to see the artwork I'm gonna make with these Fineliners exclusively for you. So here's one of my favorite artworks that I made with these, and not only these, but with a Rotring Fineliners as well. But especially these details I've been drawing with this 003 Micron Fineliner, as well as with the, I believe, 005. And some other lines as well I did draw with the 01 for slightly thicker results, like maybe these lines on the roof and maybe some of these details on the sides. So this Colosseum I did not draw with any Micron Fineliners. I did not have any Fineliners Fineliners to get some details, and you can clearly see that this drawing, at least in my opinion, is missing something. Maybe if I had them at this time, maybe if I used them this time, I would get some better details. And in places or areas like on the left side, where I wanted to recede some color, or maybe leave just a feeling of receding structure skeleton, the exoskeleton of this building to the left, and meanwhile on the right side make it more visually appealing, make it more saturated with colors, with dynamic transitions between black and white, bright and dark, as well as in these places I would really like to see more of the details like this, like some really thin lines that would just make it more attractive and make it pop. And as the final artwork, I'd like to present to you the artwork that is one of my favorite artworks, because I drew it from my own picture. I've been to New York this year and I've seen the St. Patrick Cathedral and I really loved it. It's a great piece of an architecture. It's amazing. It just stands out of the street. That all of these skyscrapers around it seem to be a bit surrealistic, but it still is amazingly composed within the avenue. And you can clearly see that these details been drawn with the Micron 003. You cannot get better and thinner line on the market than with these Fineliners, at least none I saw so far. So now as a bonus, I'm going to quickly sketch one really iconic building for you using solely the Pigma Micron Fineliners set that I just reviewed. So that's going to be a quick sketch, and for the sketching part I'm going to be using the Micron 003. Let me know in the comments, when did you guess what's building that going to be? So that was a quick rough bonus sketch made with these Sakura Pigma Micron Fineliners. I think I've used most of the line thicknesses throughout the process, and I kind of presented to you what can you achieve with them once you plan on buying them. You can see beforehand what are they good for. I think they are amazingly good for the architecture sketching and for the precise drawings that I presented before. Make sure to check out the other videos on my channel, because I've got the full tutorial series on how to draw architecture and how to start drawing in perspective, starting from the simple boxes into the more complicated forms like this building. So that's it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed the process, and I hope that I kind of helped you out upon deciding if you should get the Micron Fineliners or the Pigma Micron Fineliners or the Sakura Pigma Micron Fineliners, however you want to call them. If you like this video, please let me know in the comments. As always, like this video and subscribe to my channel to be eligible of winning a drawing of mine in the upcoming giveaway. All the giveaway details in my bio on my YouTube channel. As always, happy drawing and see you in another video.